Hiya, Mark. Delighted to be chatting to you. Myself here and Steve Evans.
Yeah,
hi, Mark.
to be here. Thanks for having me. Yeah, nice to see you.
Yeah, brilliant. So, whereabouts are you, Mark, at the moment? Are you
in
London?
I'm in London, yeah, North London.
North London. What's it like down there today? Is it a bit sunny yet, or is it like up here?
Not right now. It's honestly, it's kind of like, oh, it's a lovely day. Then it's cloudy. Then it's, then it's a bit of drizzle. It's everything. You don't know what to wear. Yeah. Layers. You have to layer yourself, or wear a stupid hat.
Nice hat.
No comments. Yeah,
I'm a fan of a hat. What can I tell you? Look, there's loads of them up there behind me.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. So, obviously a fan of the hat. And
are you peering at my hat?
Yeah.
Oh,
a bit nosy.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, Mark, can we say congratulations on your recent Crime Writers Association, your Dagger in the Library Award? Can you tell us about this? Do you know about that in advance, or is it, a scary night?
No, I absolutely didn't. You don't. But to say I might have been quite cross if I hadn't won it is an understatement. Only because this particular dagger I've been nominated for 5 times and not won it. And I've actually been nominated, I think, for like 11 daggers. And this is the first one I've won. So I was extremely honoured, but also extremely relieved. It's like, oh, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I've got my dagger.
Brilliant.
I think
is it from librarians, this one?
Probably see. Yeah, it's a special one, this, because it's it's not for a particular book. It's for a sort of body of work, and it's voted for by librarians. So it's for your body of work and for support you've given to libraries. And I've always tried to support libraries as much as I can, because I wouldn't be a writer if it wasn't for libraries. It's simple as that. So, very special one to win.
So was it an in-person ceremony, face-to-face, was it? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So it was all glitzy affair, was it then?
Well, glitzy. I probably didn't dress up as much as I should. I mean, I wasn't wearing jeans and a T-shirt or anything, but I can't stand black tie. I can't stand, dicky bows or any of that. So I just had a nice jacket on and open neck shirt. But yeah, a few people are dressed up. There's some swanky dresses in. I wasn't going to wear a swanky dress. I could have dug a nice dress out. But
an actual dagger that you get, is it?
Hang on, I'll show it you.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah,
it's right behind me. They've actually redesigned it. It used to be a sort of a dagger pointing in a thing, but I don't know whether they used to break or what. So it's that.
Oh yeah,
wow!
It's pretty chunky. You could certainly do some damage to somebody with that. Yeah. It's pretty weighty. So no, it was a very lovely thing to get.
Well, why is it called the dagger? Is it the Hamlet? This a dagger I see before me, or a Cluedo thing?
Maybe because it's just the dagger in the library. I mean, but the awards have been the daggers for as long as I can remember, and probably for a long time before that. Because they're crime writing awards. I don't know what else they could call it, really. They're different. The awards are different in every country in the world. The American awards are called the Edgars, named after Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah. In Australia, what are they called in Australia? They've got
Didgeridoos.
They've got a good name, the ones in Australia. They're called the Ned Kellys. The Ned Kelly Award.
Yeah. Highway robber.
Yeah. So every country has different crime writing awards. Yeah, as the daggers.
Excellent. You went to the Harrogate Festival at the weekend, didn't you? Just go.
I did.
Did you meet any? Because it's quite a well-known festival, and it attracts quite a lot of celebrities.
It's the biggest crime festival in the world. It's it's brilliant, and I'm very closely involved with it. I'm on the programming committee, and I've been to every single festival. And so yeah, this was the first. We did it last year, but it was sort of half speed last year. People were still a bit wary.
Yeah.
There were only maybe 2/3 of the number of people they normally are. It was still great because we were all just delighted to be anywhere, and seeing each other. But this year was back to full strength, and it was awesome. I mean, it really, really was awesome. We had some great guests, some great writers. So, you're catching up with people you haven't seen for a year or two, and you're meeting readers. I mean, that's the brilliant thing about these events. Because, you have contact with readers on social media and stuff, but to actually meet them in the flesh where they can go, I loved your last book, or I hated your last book, or whatever it might be. And just to put a face to the name, no, it's pretty much the first weekend you mark out in your diaries every year, the Harrogate Festival.
Yeah, there's a few people I know from the Wirral that went up there and said they had a thoroughly enjoyable weekend. They all met up, few drinks, as you just explained, to be honest. And
was there a Wirral posse? There was a Wirral posse up there, was there?
Was it Gina and Luca?
I believe so.
Oh, Luca, of course, Luca was there, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, Luca and Gina were there, both there, and a few other people. But yeah. Good weekend.
A good time. Yeah, you have to pace yourself because, well, I mean, I'm there for 4 nights. But it's sort of 3 nights of proper festival going. And, you know, the bar is always the busiest place. I say the bar is a huge tent, you know, huge beer tent. And you've got to pace yourself, certainly when you get to my age. You can't be up till 3 a.m. on Thursday, because that's you screwed. That's you screwed for the rest of the weekend. No, I'm in bed with a hot milky drink by 10:30.
Well, probably the best way. Terry, didn't you have a question about an Irish?
John Connolly, that's right. Yeah. I saw you tweeted or I saw a message by you. You were chatting with John Connolly, the Irish author. He writes about the Charlie Parker series.
He does. John's a very good friend of mine. I've known John for well, you know, over 20 years, and we've done a lot of stuff together over the years. We're doing some events together later in the year, and it was great to see him at Harrogate, and going to be seeing him again at Bloody Scotland and Capital Crime. There's lots of festivals, and you know, it's where we get a chance to meet up. But John is an amazing writer and a lovely bloke.
He does things in Southport, I think. I think he's president of the Laurel and Hardy Appreciation Society.
Yeah, he wrote a wonderful book a few years ago, not a crime novel at all, a novel that surprised everyone, a novel called He, which is about Stan Laurel. Okay. And in fact, I know he's doing some events in Liverpool very soon. I know he's doing Liverpool Waterstones next month.
Oh yeah.
So go see him. Go see him. He gives good event. He's very, very entertaining fella.
You know what I did a few years ago, Mark? Accidentally, I pinched one of his books from a Sainsbury's store. I started reading and walking around with.
How do you accidentally pinch a book?
I was pushing the grand. It was a John, my youngest grandson. I was pushing him around in the store, and I get bored. I let my missus do the shopping in the trolley. I started reading the book, picked it up off the shelf, and I carried on reading it as we walked out the store into the car. And I looked at the book and thought, hang on a sec, shit, I haven't paid for this. Well, my missus said, do you think get done? But anyway, I gave the money to a charity officially.
Good.
But
Good.
I told John about this when I saw him in the Waterstone store, and he signed the book saying, Terry, you owe someone for this.
Okay. John and I once did something very, very naughty, which I've never forgotten. We were doing an event somewhere in a bookshop, and we found ourselves alone in the bookshop when everybody else had left. I don't quite know how they locked us in or something. And, you know, running around like naughty schoolboys, and we drew something we shouldn't have drawn in a book by an author we didn't like. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go into detail, but we loved the idea of somebody innocently buying that book, then opening it and go, bloody hell. Still makes us chuckle.
Yes. Speaking of other authors and associating with them, Luca Veste, we had a chat with a few weeks ago.
I saw that.
You mentioned how much. Yeah, you mentioned how much he enjoyed being associated with you. You've got another story.
Associated.
He's comical. He's a right comic when he gets
Luca is a top bloke and a top writer. I mean, I guess I met him, I don't know, probably 15 years ago. You know, he's been around a while now. He's not a new kid on the block anymore. And so we'd done a few bits and pieces together, and then we, you know, he's one of the members of this band of crime writers that we put together. And in fact, that all happened in Liverpool. I was doing we have different memories of this, but as I remember it, I was doing an onstage interview with Elvis Costello at the Royal Court in Liverpool. And which was a huge, you know, fanboy moment for me. And Luca came along, and we went to the pub after. And I said to him, you know, do you play bass or drums or whatever? And he went, yeah. I'm not sure whether he could at the time, to be honest. I think he just went, well, I can play the guitar, so I can learn to play the bass. So we've been in this band now since sort of 2017 or something. And we always just have a great time hanging out and doing shows. So we're about to just start a big run of shows. We're doing 6 shows in 7 days, which is the most concentrated. We did 2 shows in 4 days a couple of weeks ago, and we were knackered. I mean, we were absolutely buggered. So how are we going to do 6 shows in 7 days? I do not know, but we'll give it a go.
That's tough.
You played in Glastonbury, haven't you, with this band?
We did play Glastonbury, which was just
well,
awesome.
That's something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the kind of thing that when you're in a band, you joke about, you know, oh, when we're playing Glastonbury. And it's also the thing that people take the piss out of before. Oh, you're in a band. When are you playing Glastonbury? Well, yeah, summer 2019 is when we played Glastonbury. And I was the one that got the call. So I got the call saying, "Do you guys want to play Glastonbury?" So I got to send the rest of the band an email. And it said, you know, "This is not a joke," in capital letters. And yeah, it was an awesome day. It was just real bucket list stuff playing at Glastonbury. It was brilliant.
That sounds, yeah. Can I ask you mentioned that you sort of get to meet readers as well at this Harrogate Festival and other festivals.
Yeah.
Do you ever get feedback from readers that you act upon? Suggestions or criticism or ideas?
Sometimes. Yeah, I mean, not necessarily plot things. You know, if they go, "Oh, I don't like what Tom Thorne. I don't like Tom Thorne's domestic arrangements at the moment. He needs to get rid of her and hook up with her," or whatever it might be. I don't, you know, I'm not going to necessarily take that on board. But if a reader says, "I didn't like that because of that," you know, sometimes I've just not done my job properly. Sometimes I've just messed up. There was a thing in a really early book, in a book of mine called In the Dark, where a standalone book, where there was this. I thought I'd been incredibly subtle and clever and elegant about this one particular character, and then I just got dozens and dozens of emails from people going, "I don't get it. I don't get what's going on with this character." And I'd just been too clever for my own good. I just hadn't, and I changed it. I changed it for between the hardback and the paperback, just to make it more obvious what I was trying to suggest. So that kind of all kind of feedback is welcome. To be honest, a book is written and then it's read, and it doesn't really exist as a thing until it's read. You know, that's the other half of the sort of equation, you know. So anything a reader thinks about a book is completely valid. If they don't like it, they don't like it. If they think it's not as good as your last one, that, you know, it's as much their book as it is your book. So yeah, I mean, I take all feedback really seriously. And the stupid thing is, you know, if you want to talk about reviews, i.e. professional readers, it's the bad ones that you remember. It's the bad ones that you think are right. You know, if you get 10 reviews and 9 of them are like 5-star raves and one of them's an absolute pasting, that's the one where you think, yeah, they've nailed it. I've been found out. It's funny that, but all writers I know think the same way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That goes back to when I used to do stand-up. If I was doing a show at the Comedy Store, 400 people in the audience, 399 of them pissing themselves, I'm just looking at that one person on the front row who's not laughing. You know, that's the person I'll be thinking about on the way home. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'll be the one harassing you.
Well, not funny if you've seen my act.
Yeah, and he's the one giving you all the harassment, and you've got to go back at him. And
you forget that everybody else has had a good time, but you know, you can't please everybody.
You've got to remember that, haven't you? Because you don't want to focus on this one person swinging him round when everyone else was on side. You know. I
know, but you just kind of do. You kind of do. I mean, all writers have imposter syndrome. You know, we're all waiting for that tap on the shoulder. It doesn't matter how many books you've written, you're still waiting for that tap on the shoulder. Said, "Sorry, mate, it's all been a hideous mistake. It wasn't meant to be you."
Lucas said exactly the same thing.
On you go. Yeah, it's absolutely true. I don't know anybody that doesn't have it, or any writer certainly.
Okay.
It's superb.
Yeah.
You've written what, 18 Tom Thorne novels now? Is there any more to come from Tom? Or are you going off on a standalone thrillers or something else?
No, I'm going off on a new series. I'm starting a new series. The first one is done and it comes out next year. And then there'll be another one of them. But then I will go back to Tom. Yeah, no, I'm not going to stop writing about him until I'm bored with him. And I think after 2 years not writing about him, I'll be gagging to get back to him. So yeah, no plans for him to retire just yet or die or whatever we're supposed to do with our series characters.
Yeah, would you say that's a lot of books to write about one character, 18, or would you say that's pretty standard?
Well, in terms of
7 or 8.
Well, in terms of long-running series, I mean, I was at an event last night with the American author Michael Connolly, who's written 36 novels now, and I don't know how many of them are Harry Bosch.
Harry Bosch, yeah,
a good few.
The Lincoln Lawyer as well. Yeah.
And in terms of the number of Rebus books Ian Rankin's written, or Jack Reacher novels by Lee Child. You know, long-running series are long-running series. It's a tricky thing because when you've got a series character who people have embraced, who people have engaged with, it's very hard just to go, nope, not writing about you anymore, done with you. I hope I'll know. I hope I'll know when it's time to stop. That's that is the difficult bit.
He's still fresh for you then, is he, Mark?
Well, he is if I take some time away and do other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so I write different kinds of books. I write standalone books. I write a new series. If I do some things that are like collaborations with other writers or with, you know, like the band, you know, the band has really helped freshen up all our lives. I think all the 6 of us that are in that band, you know, we all have a day job. We all have writing to do. But the fact that we can go off and do this thing with other people, you know, that's the crucial thing, because writing obviously by nature is solitary. So, you know, the fact that we can go off for a weekend here and there and the 6 of us can all have fun together is really giving us all a bit of a new lease of life, I think.
It says the title of the band says it all, doesn't, you know, the fun-loving crime writers.
Yeah. I mean, if the audience that come and see us have a fraction of the fun we're having, then they're having a good night, because we just bloody love it, you know.
Yeah. Superb.
Yeah.
So you've had a couple of TV series with Sky and the BBC off your books.
Yeah.
Any plans? Is there any plans, or do you think anybody will pick one up for the big screen?
Oh, the big screen, I don't know. And I mean, in a way, these days, and it's funny because this is exactly what Michael Connolly was saying. He had a couple of movies made back in the day, and then, but TV is always where he wanted to end up, and it's where he has ended up, because, as he said, film is a director's medium and TV is much more a writer's medium. So you have a bit more control. You know, in a movie, you know, they won't even phone you. You know, they won't. You might get a surprise that it's even happening. Whereas with most TV things, you know, you can be as involved as you want to be, and you get more time. You know, a movie is 2 hours. You know, you get a 6-part TV series, an 8-part TV series. They go into a lot more detail and a lot more character development and stuff. And there's stuff that may happen. I mean, with television, you sort of forget about it. You know, a deal is done or an option is made, and you get very excited, and then nothing happens for months and months and months. You know, they take you out for a couple of meals, and you get very excited, and then forget it. So, you know, I've got various TV irons in the fire, but they may well come to nothing. So you just have to forget about it, really.
Okay. Were you involved in the screenplay for the television series? What, were you classed as an executive producer?
I was, yeah, which is just a posh. It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't really mean anything. No, I mean, I didn't write them. Okay. I was across them. I got sent them at every stage to give notes. Whether those notes were listened to, I don't know. But yeah, I was involved, and I was involved in the casting in that.
Okay.
The leads in both those shows were my ideas. So, you know, I got David Morrissey to play Thorne. He was the guy I always wanted to play Thorne, and I got him. And the other series, which was based around a character called Helen Weeks, I got the actress Mianna Buring, who was the actress I wanted for that. So once you've done that, you can just let everybody get on and do their jobs, really.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow, brilliant. Good cast, eh? Love it. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, superb. Yeah. I was going to ask you...
Lucas never forgiven me because David Morrissey was the guy he wanted for his series.
Yeah.
I remember he was in a Willie Russell thing about 20 years ago. One summer.
That's right. That was
a teenager.
That's right. That was one of the first things he did, and so then he did all sorts of brilliant shows, Blackpool and
Walking Dead. He was in The Walking Dead, he was in.
The Walking Dead, which he did after Thorne. Yeah, he played the governor in The Walking Dead. So he had a couple of years of going to all those comic cons and all those fantasy things. And he was recently in this brilliant show, Sherwood.
Oh, yeah.
Playing a detective, and I got really jealous. I felt like he was. Felt like he was cheating on me. You know.
Yeah, cheating on you.
Yeah. But Mark, can I ask about your writing routine? You're writing full time. It looks as though you enjoy going to different festivals and things. But writing, I suppose, is your bread and butter. Is your writing routine? Have you got a strict routine? You know, is it 9 till 5 or a certain word count? Or
no, it really isn't. You know, you're writing the book all the time because it's in your head all the time. Yeah. So you're working stuff out. You know, you're writing the book when you're walking the dog, you know, or having a shower or whatever it might be. Yeah. But then you have to obviously allocate time to get it down on the screen or on the page or whatever. But that's not 9 to 5. I might do absolutely bugger all day and then sit down at the computer at midnight and write for a couple of hours. And as long as I can get out, you know, 1,000 words, 1,500 words, I'm very happy. But all the other stuff, the festivals and the events and whatever, is kind of part and parcel of it these days. And to be honest, that's the bit I really like. Yeah. That's the bit I love. You know, I'm a performer at heart. I come from, you know, I was an actor and I was a stand-up, and So I bloody love that stuff. Some writers don't, of course, and why, because a lot of writers are real introverts, and would rather stick needles in their eyes, than stand up on a stage and spout off about it. But I'm a massive show off, and I always have been. So for me, that's a perk of the job. If somebody goes, "Oh, do you want to come over here and get up on stage and talk about?" Yeah, I can do that. Thank you very much. I love that. But the writing is that's the hard work. That is the hard part of the job. Just sitting down and trying to a book a year. Making sure you produce a book a year. And if you write full time, that is achievable. Yeah. But such a large percentage of writers are not writing full time, and they're the writers that you got to take your hat off to, because they're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and writing for a couple of hours, and then going to do doing a proper job, and then coming home and doing it again. Yeah. So enormous respect for people that do that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So what are you actually working on at the moment? I know you said you've gone off on a bit of a tangent after giving Tom Thorne a rest. So can you mention what you're doing at the minute?
Yeah, sure. The new series, which I've just delivered the first book, is about. It's also about a police officer, but a very, very different kind of police officer. It's based in the north. It's not based in London, and he is. He's not Tom Thorne. He's really not. The books are much lighter in tone, and dare I say it, funny. There's humor in the Thorne books. There has to be humor in any book, I think, however dark. And although the Thorne books can be quite dark, there's black humor in there. With these, I've just gone for it. If I've thought of a joke, it's gone in. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. Fans of the Tom Thorne novels might be in for a bit of a shock, because it's a very different kind of book. But it's still a book about grief and loss and death and violence. But just I'm coming at it in a slightly different direction, from a slightly different direction. So the first book in that series will be out next year, and then there'll be another one, and by that time we'll know whether it was a good idea or not. But you've got to do something different. You've got to keep yourself interested. If you're not interested, then your readers won't be. I know that much.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Mark, going back to your first novel, Sleepyhead, was that the hardest one to write, being the first one? You don't know if you've got an audience. You don't know if it's top quality. Yeah. What gave you the inspiration to keep on?
Well, I'd had this idea, this idea, like a hook, if you like. Yeah. And the thing that was putting me off was that just you pick up some of these novels and they're like house bricks. I just thought, my God, that is such a lot of work, compared with writing a half-hour TV script or whatever. And then I went on holiday one year with my family. This would have been about 1999. And I think we were in Corfu or something like that. And we had this villa. And we put the kids to bed, and then me and my wife would sit outside every night with a beer and a glass of wine. And I was just writing in this notebook, just writing every night. So after a fortnight, I came home and I counted the words up, and I'd written about 30,000 words. Oof. And I remember thinking, that's about a third of a novel. That maybe it's not as kind of unachievable as I thought it was. Yeah. So I tarted those 30,000 words up and I sent them up. And from that point, I just got stupidly lucky. Yeah. I got an agent straight away. They sent those 30,000 words out, and a bunch of publishers wanted to publish it. So there was like an auction or whatever. And I was off. I hadn't finished the book, and I got a publishing deal. Yeah. It's got progressively harder. That was the easiest to write because there were no expectations. Obviously, I wanted the book to be published. Yeah. But then the second book was harder, and the third book was harder still, and on and on and on. And it took me a while to figure out that it's meant to be like that, because of course it gets harder because you're trying to write a better book. True. That you won't always write a better book. Yeah. Maybe your best book is long behind you. I don't know, but you have to at least have that ambition. So and it's harder to come up with interesting new places to take your character that they haven't been before, and new plot lines and things that are going to keep the readers engaged. Because after 18 novels in the Tom Thorne series, I've put him through pretty much everything I can put him through. Yeah. So trying to think of a new angle, it gets a bit more challenging. So I think the first book is probably the easiest, although it's also the book you make the most mistakes in. You make your mistakes early on. I had to go back. I narrate my own audiobooks, and I didn't do the early ones, but I do them all now. So I had to go back and narrate the early books, and that was a chastening experience, going back and reading out loud for 3 days, something I wrote 22 years ago. And going, I wish I hadn't done that, or I'd do that differently. And, it's hard, but you make your mistakes early on, Yeah.
Going to mention I was going to ask about struggling to. Did you struggle to connect with the publisher? You clearly didn't.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know.
Spoke for choice.
Yeah.
You spoke for choice then, and you pick and choose, did you?
Yeah, and I picked very wisely in retrospect because, or luckily, I've been with that same publisher.
Little Brown is
23
this?
years. Little Brown, correct, and with that same agent. And a lot of people do jump around. They move from publisher to publisher, and I've not. And why would you? Why would you if you? I mean, some writers do that because they're not happy with the publisher they're with. Some writers do that because they're just trying to get a better deal somewhere else. They're like footballers, just bouncing from one club to another for a few grand extra a week, whatever it might be. And I've just never had any interest in that. My publisher have always published the books brilliantly, so why would I go anywhere?
Yeah, sometimes pays to be loyal as well, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's we have publishing meetings and dues and whatever, and I look around and think, oh my God, I'm the one that's been here the longest of anybody in the room. But no, I'm glad it's worked out like that.
You got the continuity with the editor as well, I suppose, haven't you?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I've had 3 editors over 22 years, but that's pretty good going. And I've been with my current editor, or he's been with me. We've been working together for I don't know, seven or 8 years now, and it's great. Yeah, it's a very close relationship. It has to be.
Ask you about the books that you read. I'm looking at the reading thing on your bookshelf behind you. Do you read crime novels? Is that your genre for pleasure as well as for work?
I mean, I suppose it is. I suppose it is because I'm a big fan of crime fiction, and I wouldn't be writing it if I didn't read it. The thing that's different now, though, is I'm tending to read books by people I know, because it is a close-knit world. And obviously, you read your mates' books. Why wouldn't you? It would be foolish not to. So I've already got the new John Connolly lined up. I've already read, Luca's last book, and the books of all the people in the band, and the books of all the people I like. It's hard sometimes if you're deep into your own crime novel to read somebody else's. That can mess with your head a bit. If I'm not reading crime fiction, I'm probably reading music, biography, or book about music, or anything to do with the Beatles. Absolutely anything. I've got far too many books about the Beatles. So that's just ridiculous. But I've managed to convert Luca Veste. That if I've achieved anything in my life, it's and not just turned Luca. I've turned Luca from somebody who didn't really care much about the Beatles, and I know that growing up in Liverpool, it can be quite hard because you just get bombarded with it. And so he just went, nah, not for me. And now he's a fanatic. He's become a fanatic, which is great.
Well,
oh yeah. Oh, next time you talk to him, he'll give you chapter and verse. He absolutely loves it.
I will do. I'll speak to him about that. Yeah, definitely.
We were together. We did an event in Liverpool not that long ago, and in the window they still had all the marketing materials for the McCartney book, the lyrics, right? So they had these stand-ups of Paul McCartney, and they had a huge life-size one, but then they had a slightly smaller one. And I said to the woman that was doing our event, have you finished with all that stuff? And she went, oh God, I'm sick of it. She said, have it. So as we walked out the shop, we helped ourselves to this thing in the window, and then we got chased down the street by a member of staff from the bookshop who didn't know that her colleague had agreed to have it. So she was chasing me back, going, "Give us my you've nicked our signage. You've nicked." In fact, just over here. Here he is. Look. Are you ready?
Yeah.
It's little Paul.
Hey.
There he is. Look at him.
That's brilliant.
Mull of Kintyre. So yeah, I took that with me last time I was in Liverpool. I spent far too much money on anything to do with the Beatles. We went to a souvenir shop, and do I need 4 baseballs with pictures of the band? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Do I need another set of Beatles dolls? Yes, I do. No, I'm a lunatic for the Beatles.
Mark, I'm old enough to remember it was a store in Liverpool, early 60s, maybe 64. They were selling mophead wigs, like the street fringe. Well, the mophead, really.
Yeah,
I remember seeing them in sort of people wearing them around town.
I mean, I'm not old enough to be, not quite to be. I mean, just about remember the Beatles actually being around, but I don't know. They are just the best band there's ever been. And you can disagree with me, but you're wrong.
No, I totally agree. I'm on your side, 100%. Yeah.
So finally from me then, what advice do you give to an aspiring writer, somebody who's just coming into it and wants to write their own book, first book?
Well, without being glib, work hard and be lucky. I mean, really, every writer I know who's had any degree of success has also had a phenomenal amount of good luck. But you've got to. I'm a big believer in that expression. The harder I work, the luckier I seem to get. Yeah. You do have to grab that bit of luck when you get it and run with it. And there is a lot of discipline involved, and you've got to put your ass in your chair every day and go to work and work, making stuff up, which is the best job in the world. But you've got to do it. And the other one, which is so obvious, but it's just to read. I do meet aspiring writers who say, "Yeah, I'm writing a book," and I go, "Oh, great!" And I go, "Yeah, who do you read?" And they go, "Nah, don't read." And I just think that's that's alarm bells right there. It's like you can't be a chef without eating food.
True.
It's absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
You've got to read.
Makes sense.
So read, work hard, be lucky.
That's brilliant advice. Yeah. Mark, it's been an absolute joy to chat with you. As I said,
you too. I'm sorry I've been talking too much.
No, it's been great. It's a breath of fresh air. It's great. Yeah.
Hey, Paul.
Say to little Paul.
Just imagine you taking him out the window of the local Waterstone.
I know, and then being chased down the street.
That's funny. Mark, maybe have another chat with you in about 6 months or when the new book comes out.
Absolutely. Well, if we don't do it in the next 6 months, let's do it when the new book comes out.
Brilliant.
And we'll see if my move towards comedy crime has worked out or not.
We'll read and we'll let you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Consider that a date.
Brilliant.
Put it in the diary, sorry.
Definitely, it's there. I've written it down already. Well, Mark, once again, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me. Absolute pleasure.
All right.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, brilliant.
Yep. Cheers. Thanks for now.
Ta-da.
Ta-da.